What's up, and welcome into Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. I am Jay Hood. Thanks so much for checking out the podcast. By the way, we are growing on YouTube, youtube.com. Look for Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Also on Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Make sure that you are subscribing to the podcast as well. We're having so much fun. Don't forget to check me out also on Cap and J Hood weekday mornings between 6 and 9, brand new time, between 6 and 9 Central. ESPN 1000. Also download the ESPN Chicago app. We're here to talk about the Bears and their victory against the Washington Commanders by a score of 25-24. And that means that we bring in my crazy Cousin Wiley, with us here. Make sure that you are responding to our show here as we talk about the Bears. Now 3-2 on the season. It is so hard to win on the road, Cousin Wiley, but the Bears got it done like in unusual fashion. 25-24 against the Raiders, 25-24 against the Commanders. How are you, sir?
I am doing fantastic. Revenge is really sweet. Sweet.
I would say that revenge is very sweet. What are you wearing for our listeners here that can't see the YouTube show? What shirt are you wearing this week?
This is my favorite Trail of Tears shirt.
Aha.
It's for the Washington fans, as they were Trail of Tears as they left that stadium yesterday. And it
Mm-hmm.
felt just so great because I heard all the back and forth from last year after the Hail Mary pass, and just to come back and beat that ass at home and just see them leave that stadium just with a trail of tears. Only Andrew Jackson could have been happier than I was last night.
What position does he play? I think we know. I think we know what position Andrew Jackson play. I don't know. I think these days I think it's okay to wear that. You wear that to the grocery store. You go to a Strachan Van Til, put that on.
I do. You have to commemorate. It was Indigenous People Day as well, so you had to
Oh,
commemorate that day with a shirt. So with a
and
Bears pick.
and an ass beating. Yes, an
Yes,
ass beating. So
yes.
so there you go. He's got the T-shirt representing. Controversial as it is, I think it's cool that you have it on because I think it works. Yes, the Chicago Bears, Monday Night Football. They win over Washington 25-24. I will tell you, Cousin Wiley, it is so hard to win in this league. And there are some that are very impressed by the victory, and some that will say, well, the Bears had the win handed to them. No, what I will say is that the Commanders are not as sharp as we thought that they were. There is a time that we have done this show together where the Bears lose that game last night instead of winning that game, but they were opportunistic defensively. They had enough plays offensively to be able to win, and of course, special teams came through with the kicker as well. How'd you take the victory? Because I just thought that for many years we're watching that game and the Bears lose by a field goal or can't get the ball back, but the Bears were there to be able to win that game. It's so different than what we've seen for a long time.
I thought it was an organization win, more so starting with the coaches. And I say coaches, I can't just say Ben Johnson and leave it at that, because I think Dennis Allen is doing an amazing job with what he has in helping that defense just be opportunistic when it comes to turnovers, stopping teams on third down. And I think they've gotten buy-in on both sides of the ball. They actually believed in the people who are leading them, and that translates to the field. So it was a huge win. Just seeing a guy like DeAndre Swift, just run the ball with confidence, and then just seeing just the canyons of holes that were open for him to run through. Like, that is what it's going to take to win consistently in Chicago. And I believe Ben Johnson, Dennis Allen is ushering in a winning era of Bears football. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Because during the bye week, you could tell that the Bears added some new wrinkles, did some new things. Like for instance, Roshan Johnson not only was active, but actually got a chance to run the football. Like I know that that's not the top story, but I didn't expect to see him out there, and he was able to help the running game. 145 yards on 27 carries overall for the Bears. The way they ran the football, but man, let me tell you, the other change that you make is you have Theo Benedict. And of course, we're in Chicago, so we're just going to mispronounce all the names. Hey, tell me about that Benedict, like Eggs Benedict. Like, no, his
Right.
name is Theo Benedict. But this is what we do in Chicago. We just mispronounce people's names. Thank you, Harry Carey, for giving that to us as Chicago sports fans. But Wiley, they put Benedict in, and Braxton Jones is on the bench. And I
Yeah.
watched Bennett in July in practice, and that guy was busting his ass left side, right side. He was doing what he could to be able to make the team. First of all, make the team, but then being trusted to be able to be in that spot. Good for Theo Benedict, but I want to give the offensive line on this show their flowers because they was moving furniture, and on top of that, DeAndre Swift, who is not a bust, who's not a bum, the way you run the football is you need space. You need to have somebody to block for you so you can be able to get through those holes. And he and Monungai did a great job of being able to get through those holes and help the running game in a big way. You can't run if you can't run the football. You're not going to win a lot of football games, and the Bears are able to do that.
No, you're absolutely right, and I think part of that started with Ben Johnson and his game planning, and then also part of it came from the threat of Caleb Williams as a passer. When teams can fear your quarterback passing the ball, it's going to create some rushing lanes that may not have been there if you have a quarterback who struggles passing the ball. So Caleb's development with Ben Johnson, and then the cohesion of the offensive line helps a game like that happen. It helps those holes open up. It helps Swift figure and Monungai figure out how to run through them, and it led to a victory, which, as to your point, last year, or even with Nagy, you don't win that game. I mean, you have to go back to the Lovey years where you would feel confident winning a game like that. So shout out to the coaches, shout out to the players, but I'm excited for what they're building there for this season and then years forward. So it's refreshing to see coming off a bye, going to hostile territory against a quality team, and you don't play well, have a great game. You have some struggles, but you still find a way to get a win, and that's what's important at the end of the day. Just finding a way to win, and they did.
Yeah, but you have to. You have to. The Bears were a 5-point or 5.5-point underdog in the game, and I think that where the Bears are going to be kicking their own ass, looking at that film on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday leading into the Saints game is that in that first half that should have been like 20 points on the board, right? I mean, those three should have been sevens. And I know that Caleb Williams is probably like on fourth down, I got to make that throw. I got to make sure I keep that drive alive. I've got to make sure that I'm not taking sacks. I made this point this morning on Cap and J Hood. I don't know if you agree. I just think, Wiley, that a lot of young quarterbacks in this league look up to Patrick Mahomes. They look up to Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen because those are quarterbacks that can keep plays alive, right? And I think that Caleb Williams looks at that and says, hey, man, I could do those same things because if they can hold the ball for 7-8 seconds, I can do the same thing. And so clearly, several times he held the ball too long, got sacked, trying to keep plays alive with his legs and all that. Wiley, he's got to understand, you got to live for another day because you don't get hurt out there. Frankie Louvu, the big Samoan out there, almost knocked his ass out. He almost knocked his ass out. Now, Louvu's not the biggest guy, but he's strong. And you saw that big hit on the sideline. You're not going to get that call because you're Caleb Williams, but you just got to make sure that you got other downs that you could be able to help us. You don't have to throw it, do what you do by holding on to the football thinking that you can keep a play alive. Only very few can do that.
Yeah, and I think that's, to your point, I think you're right, but it's like the Curry effect too, where everyone sees Curry making threes from 50 feet out and they believe, I can make threes from 50 feet out too. No, there are few players who can do that. And while Caleb does have the talent to be able to pull that off, you have to nail down the fundamentals of playing quarterback first before you lean on something like the extended plays. And I think with Ben Johnson there this year, he's learning to make the winning play. Just check it down, get a few yards. We got a field goal yesterday because he didn't go home run hunting. He just took a check down, got 7-8 yards, which moved him closer to field goal range, and then Moody was able to knock down the field goal. So you need winning plays like that more so than you need a guy who's chasing a home run every time he takes a snap. And I think that the growth that I'm seeing with Caleb this year is he's more comfortable in the pocket. He has more command of the offense. He trusts his playmakers. He trusts his offensive line. And more importantly, he trusts his coaches. And that's a huge difference from what we saw last year from a rookie who came in and struggled a lot, even though the numbers say the numbers were fine. But if you watch the games, the eye test said he was having some struggles recognizing what was going on. And I think he's improved dramatically this year. And the Bears are winning because of it.
Maybe it was just my TV, Wiley. I thought that there was more of a sense of urgency and a freshness with the Bears, a crispness with the Bears. And maybe it's because you had a week off because you had the bye week. But we've seen a million games in which you watch the Bears, and that's the junior varsity. That's a sophomore game. And then the varsity game is when you watch Kansas City and the Eagles. And like you can see, like that's a whole different level. Like you watch the Bears at 12 and like, oh, okay, well, that's a nice sophomore game. Let's get to the varsity game. You say, oh shit. Like that's what football is supposed to look like. I thought the
Right.
Bears were more than the varsity game on both sides of the football, where like from Caleb's standpoint, ball got out quickly. There wasn't like a searching and trying to find my guy. He was like, I know where I'm taking the football. I'm going to send it to Luther Burden. I'm going to send it to DeAndre Swift. I'm going to send it to DJ Moore. I like that. And even on the defensive side, I've been on the defense a lot this year. I know that there was a time that you and I were like watching the Bears or watching football, and you like look at the sack numbers, right? You look at like Mark Gastineau, you look at Michael Strahan and be like, oh, how many sacks do they have, right? We don't do that as much anymore, but I just like pressure. I like that there was a
Yeah.
sense of urgency from a pressure standpoint where they're trying to flush Daniels out of the pocket for him to go to the sidelines or for him to throw it away or incomplete passes. So I just thought that on both sides the Bears came to play, and I'm glad they won the game.
And you know what I saw this year that we hadn't seen, especially on the Eberflus, was that when shit happened, it didn't get the team down. Like when there were bad penalties on whether it was bad defensive penalties or bad offensive penalties, there was a touchdown taken off the board with the shit penalty. The team wasn't dejected. They remained focused, and that helped them win the game. There were many times under Eberflus and even under Nagy where when something bad happened, it was like a domino. It's like, oh, well, everything's going to go terrible from here. And you can see it in the play. You can see it in the body language. And I think the players believed from beginning to end. Like when the defense figured out a way to get the ball that Jaden Daniels dropped in the fourth quarter, they rushed off the field and was confident the offense was going to score. You can tell, like the defense was like, hey, here's the ball back. Go win the game. They were confident. It wasn't like, oh, I hope they win. It was like, yep, we got this game now. They were excited.
Yeah.
And we didn't see that in years past. So I think like that change of culture, and I know like that's just like a buzzword that people just use, and most of the time it's meaningless, but you can see the culture shift from the coaches and from just the new players they bought in, the leadership they bought in. So I think it's making a huge difference. And will it pay off this year in the Super Bowl? Probably not, but there's enough there to make the playoffs, even in a tough division like this.
We are brought to you by the Outpatient Center in Bronzeville for Northwestern Medicine. I don't know if you saw this on the news recently, but yes, it is up and ready to go. Northwestern Medicine opened their outpatient center in Bronzeville. And for more information, you go to nu.org, of course, to find out more about Northwestern Medicine, 4822 South Cottage Grove in Chicago. Check them out. It's great that they are taking care of people in the community, Northwestern Medicine in Bronzeville. So funny that you mentioned up the culture thing. I want to talk to you about this. So, Cuzzo, I had a conversation today with a 49ers fan that said, oh, the Chicago Bears are 3-2, and everyone's talking about how the culture's changed. You barely won the game against the Washington Commanders. And I told this person, I said, here's the thing that you got to understand. We're coming from Matt Eberflus, We're coming from a team that had no standards, and we see Ben Johnson trying to be able to change the narrative and change what's going on with the organization. So I won't say that the culture has changed 180 degrees, but it's getting there. With every win, with every game, with every practice, the culture is changing. So people laugh and just say, "Well, you're 3-2 now. The culture's changed just because you're winning." No, culture happens to me when you are doing the same good habits over and over and over again. Your practice habits, you in the weight room, you on the field, film, all that, being a professional. That's how the culture changes. It's not because the Bears won yesterday, but to your point, you could see the incremental changes with Ben Johnson and the Bears because there's a new coaching staff and there's so many guys that are buying in. Buy-in is so important in sports. So when people laugh, it's like, oh, what really what's really the culture shift with the Bears? Think about last year where you had no culture. Well, guys didn't give a shit. And now look what's happening with the team now.
There's a huge difference in what Ben Johnson brings to the table when Matt Eberflus brought to the table. You can tell Ben Johnson has the juice. Whether that's just even locker room speeches or even listening to how the players talk about their coach, you can tell Ben Johnson has the juice. And even like something as small as being prepared after a bye week. We've won one game since Lovie Smith left after a bye week. Like that's no coincidence because that's a lot of shit coaching since Lovie left. So you have a guy who came in, had his defense prepared with Dennis Allen, and then he prepared his offense, made changes, scouted himself, make the changes that needed to be made, and to help propel a team that didn't play a perfect game by any means to a victory. Like in the years past, the Bears would have had to play a nearly flawless game to win Monday night, and that wasn't the case yesterday. They still find a way to beat the Redskins' ass, which to me reflects leadership, which starts with Ben Johnson.
Who the Bears beat yesterday?
Right. The Commanders' ass, right.
I think that's not what you said. I think it's that helmet we put up there. I think they beat them. Is that what you're saying?
It's that Trail of Tears. I can't get it out of my mind.
Can't believe that's a great shirt, though. I need one, please. So this we have more. I do want to point this out. Then I do have a question. So for those that wanted to know, as I saw it all on my threads, that's where I am. By the way, when I'm taking notes on the Bears game, I'm writing stuff on my threads. It's IGJ Hood on threads. So all my notes about the game, I just put them there. And which is a far cry from me, as you well know, me being ancient. You know, I still always use the yellow
back of the envelope.
I always have the back to the envelope math. No, I always have like my yellow pad for shows, but now I'm more into typing in my notes for the show and for the games that I watch. So, just a point: the officiating crew, which got killed on social media yesterday. This is a new crew. That brother from Gately with the oversized ref shirt, yeah. So he that's a new crew, and so that crew leads the NFL in penalties. The second crew has 15 flags less. So just so you know, the reason why you saw so many ticky tack penalties is because they're trying to impress the people in New York. Apparently,
Calvin trying to keep his job. You know, he just left McDonald's. He just left McDonald's. He's trying to keep that job. He got a good job. You remember that commercial? Calvin?
Yes. They were so surprised they looked over the shoulder. Calvin? That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me on the fries. That's right.
Yeah.
But so I know people were pissed off about those flags. Yeah.
Because it was so it was bad. I would have felt better if it was like balanced, where it's like, okay, here's a lot of shit calls that the Commanders had to take and a lot of shit calls the Bears had to take. It was like for every 10 shit calls, 8 of them favored the Commanders and 2 favored the Bears. Like, so there was no balance in the way they were calling the game. And they were either taking points off the board for the Bears or giving the Commanders a chance to score points on third after they failed on third downs. So it wasn't like, okay, here's a penalty on first down that probably meant nothing at all. It was like, no, there were like 3 or 4 penalties on the defense on third down. Those are drive killers. I mean, and it helped the Commanders sustain drives they would have been punting for. And then it was a great touchdown for Caleb and Odunze. Great throw, great catch off the board because left tackle is too far back when he wasn't. Like even Troy Aikman found a way to stop criticizing Caleb and the Bears for a second to acknowledge, like, yeah, that was a terrible call. That was a terrible call by the refs, and it was. So, but as I was saying earlier, like when things like that happen in the past, that would have killed the confidence of the players on the field. In some ways, may have killed the confidence of the Eberfluses or Nagy's of the world. Whereas with Ben Johnson, it's like, hey, we're plugging ahead, no excuses.
Yeah, so I mean, and again, yeah, people were already lined up talking about how bad the officiating was, but the Bears were able to overcome the 3 takeaways. Let me tell you something, man. You mentioned Lovie Smith. That's what it reminds me of. Lovie knew that he didn't have a lot offensively. He couldn't trust his offense because he had 18 offensive coordinators, all these guys. So he had to know, look, I'm going to put the offense in the best position possible. Knock that ball out. Rip the ball out. And so I was so happy to see the Bears get those 3 takeaways. Now, here's the thing. You can't survive on that all season now. You can't do that. Like, it's cool that you had 3 takeaways against the Raiders, 3 takeaways against the Commanders. But Wiley,
Dallas too.
At some point against Dallas, also takeaways there too. But you're going to have to – I like that, but also the offense has to do their job too. So – balance. That's all I'm looking for.
No, you're absolutely right. Like that helps to get those gifts. But you're right. At some point, the offense is going to have to carry the team when they're playing poorly. Like we saw against the Vikings or even against the Lions in those games where the defense starts to slip. The offense has to find a way to step up and maintain the edge that they had. So I think this helps give the team confidence, which may lead to some better offensive performances going forward. And then defense is getting healthy. I think that's going to make a difference as well because the defense wasn't terrible prior to all of the injuries. The injuries made the defense terrible. And now with guys getting healthy, whether that's Kyler Gordon or TJ Edwards coming back, Gary getting healthy up front, and just getting even a Booker back, on the field in the next couple of weeks, I think it's going to make a huge difference to what the defense can do. And hopefully the offense continues to build on what we've seen over the first 5 games, because if they can they can continue to build Hood, we're talking about an offense that's going to be special by the end of the season or early next year. So yeah, I'm really excited about what we're seeing them put together. Just got to find a way to just stay consistent.
So, Cuzzo, could you tell me the offensive weapons that you trust the most in order for the Bears?
Excluding Caleb, right?
Yeah, I guess Caleb would be at the top for you, right? At quarterback.
Yeah.
Or maybe maybe in your mind he might be down the line. You tell me, like the offensive, because there's a lot. So tell me the offensive weapons that you trust the most on this team.
No, I trust Caleb probably the most. I think the way he sachets in the pocket, that is that helps.
That's not right.
That helps
right.
that can help an offensive line if they have some struggles. But after Caleb, it's Rome Odunze, and then probably it's tough. Probably DJ Moore.
Not DJ Moore, huh? Okay.
Reluctantly DJ Moore, and then I'm probably going. I want to see. I like Oz. I like Oz. I mean, actually, he struggled a little bit, but his hands have been reliable. He's found ways to get open on third down. So I trust Oz to get open and catch the ball. I mean, he dropped probably a touchdown yesterday, but I trust him generally speaking. I don't really trust the running back, so I'm probably going to go with Luther, as my fourth option, and then you put in Swift, Monungai, Swift, or whatever order you want to put him in. The last guy I trust is Cole Kmet. He has been absolutely brutal, Cuzzo. Like, I even yesterday in the fourth quarter, crunch time, there was a block he had to make, Cuzzo. He dove at the air, clearly missed the guy. No, didn't even come close to blocking the guy, but just dove on the ground. It was like, you've been in the league for about 5, 6 years now. There's no way in hell you should be making blocks like that after 5 or 6 years. If Loveland made the same block today, okay, fine, he's a rookie. A 6-year veteran, you have to be better than that. And just he has been awful this year, just awful. So he's going to be at the bottom of my list of guys I trust. But that's it for me. What about you? Who do you trust the most when it comes to this offense?
So for me, under Ben Johnson, it is Roma Dunze, because there's going to be a time maybe next year we're going to be talking about DJ Moore not being on this football team. I'm not trying to push him out the door. I just know that you want to get younger in that position, and I just feel like whatever you get from DJ Moore this year, all good. But this is Roma Dunze's team at the wide receiver spot. And by the way, shout out to DJ Moore, who played hurt yesterday. Let's make sure we put that out there. He gets hurt in the game, and he still is out there trying to run the football and still trying to make tackles. He stayed in Washington, D.C. The team left him as he went to the hospital last night, and he stayed overnight. I'm sure he's back by now as we record this. But yeah, DJ Moore, he put his body on the line yesterday, but it's really Roma Dunze. So I'm going Roma Dunze. I'm going in as far as offensive weapons, I still believe in DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift, with the way he ran the football, and also without that 55-yard reception, maybe we don't win the ball game, Cuzzo. So I put him in there. I'm going with Luther Burden, because he just gave us a glimpse of what this is going to look like, right? 4 receptions, 51 yards, as long as it was 37. I'm like, yeah, this guy's got speed. Once they start giving him the ball, we're going to see next year, I think, Burden on one side, Adunze on the other. Oh, shit. Look out now.
I agree.
Okay?
I agree.
Skill and speed. So I go there. Zacchaeus, if that was Zacchaeus' worst game of the season, I'll take it. He's been so short-handed, though, because, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, give me the ball, first down, right? Yesterday, not a good game. Not a good game for OZ. So I feel like that he's someone that you can rely on. I believe that Loveland will have more to say this year than what he's had so far. 2 receptions, 11 yards. DJ Moore's in that mix as well, because DJ now is part of the running game and will block. Okay, so but I know it doesn't come off on TV very often, but when you see him live, because he's very physical as a wide receiver. He's a tough guy. He's tough. He's just been in a bad situation with the Bears and with Carolina. So he's one of those receivers, right? Like, man, everywhere I go, I just want the football, and I got inferior quarterback play. Well, he has good quarterback play now. He just won't be able to see Caleb really come into his own, because he's going to be gone next year. Yeah, I think, and good, I just think that that's right for the Bears. I would agree that Kmet is low on my list right now. That's the way I would look at it. I would have Loveland over Kmet. There's a reason why they drafted a tight end. It's because they're looking to turn the page on some of these old guys, Kmet, DJ Moore. So I think that's how I look at it. I don't know if I missed anybody, but I think that those are the guys. I mean, Monungai is just right now is just a Monungai at this point in time. That's the hardest, by the way. That MFer, man. We watched the game. 5 carries, 19 yards. Didn't you think he had like 80?
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
Man.
He runs hard, and he always falls forward, which is important. But yeah, he always falls forward. So I don't know if he'll be special or anything like that, but I think once he figures it out, he's going to be a useful piece for the Bears. And I think Ben Johnson sees the same thing. That's why he's trying to involve him more in the offense. But I think probably DeAndre Swift felt the same way yesterday. He was like, look, if I don't get my shit together, this guy's going to take my carries, so I got to figure out a way to make sure I maintain my job. And he did a great job of doing that last night with from catching the ball to running the ball. It was by far the best game I've seen him in the Bears uniform. By far.
I'd like for you to address the national media talking about Caleb Williams versus Jaden Daniels. This is not just for this year, because this is going to be going on for their entire careers. They're going to be compared. I think Drake May will have something to say about that as well. But for now, Williams and Jaden Daniels. So what do you think of the matchup between the two? Jaden Daniels, 19 for 26, 211 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. And Caleb Williams, 17 for 29, 252 yards, and a touchdown, no INTs. They were both sacked 3 times. So what did you think of the matchup between the two, and who was the favorite to you?
So with the national media, obviously, for whatever reason, they've had a target on Caleb Williams. I think beyond just being a number one pick, he's had a target maybe because of his style. Like with football players, you're supposed to be so macho, and you gotta. So the idea that the guy paints his nails is like that won't be accepted in the locker room and that type of crap. But so they've come down hard on him. I guess the expectation is like Jaden Daniels is going to be the savior of the draft. But what I think a lot of people miss, Jaden Daniels was in college for like 7 years. So he had far more experience as a quarterback than Caleb had. Caleb had like 2.5 years of playing quarterback in college, and he missed his last year of high school. So you're talking about a kid who in 4 years didn't play many live snaps in football, whereas Jaden Daniels was out there, from moving from Arizona over to LSU. He had a lot more reps than Caleb, so naturally coming to the league last year, he was more prepared for the game than Caleb was. But I thought Caleb performed better. Caleb protected the ball. When he had to make plays, he made plays. In my mind, he played winning football against a better team, against a better overall team. So definitely a better overall defense. So yeah, I thought what Caleb did was more impressive than what Jaden did, even though Troy Aikman tried his best to flip the script all last night. But yeah, I think the narrative should change now, especially what we're seeing from Caleb and with Ben Johnson here. But we'll see how slow the media gets around to it.
I would like for you to have the spotlight now to talk about the next matchup for the Chicago Bears. The Bears are going to take on the New Orleans Saints. That's next on the schedule. Do I have that right? Yeah, Saints, and then 2 on the road against Baltimore, and then to Cincinnati. But first, the Saints, Cuzzo. I want you to tell people why the Bears, who already, as we talk, is our 6-point favorite against the Saints, the early line. So why will the Bears beat the Saints on Sunday?
All right, so the Bears are going to beat the Saints because this is a revenge game for Dennis Allen. He was fired last year, rightfully so. He knows most of the personnel really well. And then also, this is also a revenge game for Spencer Rattler and Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams took his job when he was a Heisman candidate at his first year in college. And I think, Caleb is going to look to keep his foot on his throat. And Dennis Allen is definitely going to look to put his foot on the Saints' throat because of what they did to him as a head coach. So I'm going Bears win 36-17. Beat down.
Is the Bears defense showing up for that game, or
they're showing up? We're going to have a multi-sack game from Montez Sweat.
Your lips to God's ears that he is able to get to the quarterback. He was huffing and puffing. He was on the doorstep. They just wouldn't let him in. Actually, let me take. Yeah, but I'm not gonna shit on him because I thought
forced fumble.
It's a forced fumble, and also I just want to give him his flowers. He goes back to Washington. He wanted to show something. So all good. Okay. So we got that. You got your prediction. I would like to switch the topic to something a little bit different as we close here. So let me just give a little background of Cousin Wiley. No, not that Wiley. No, not that. A different story about you. Not that one. We won't do that one. Um, the story of your childhood growing up in Avalon Park,
Yes.
where at every turn, the Cubs game was on WGN Channel 9, was it not?
Yes. Always.
All the time, the Cubs game was on. And so I still think, even though you're a Sox fan, I still believe that you root for almost everything Chicago. But this group that we have on our screen right now on YouTube, and if you're listening on Spotify or on podcast, you should watch our picture of Tucker and Suzuki and Happ and Council, because this team, as good a season as they had, they fell short against their rival. They fell short against the Milwaukee Brewers. And so I would ask you, sir, for someone who grew up with Channel 9, his actual crib, not the house, I'm talking about actually in the crib, there you
Yeah.
watching Cubs baseball. Do you consider what we saw with this Cubs season a success, even though they fell short against the Brewers again?
Yes, because they made the playoffs. They won a playoff series. So I think you can't say it's a losing season because of that. And they took probably a better Brewers team to 5 games. We can argue they should have won or not. But so I think it is a success. But I think there were a lot of issues. One, the Tucker trade. Like I saw him just clean up with the Astros. So when he comes over, I'm like, okay, here's a guy. When it matters most, he's going to deliver, because all I did was see him deliver when it mattered most when he was with the Astros. So I felt good about the trade. And then he gets here, he starts off hot, and whether injury or not, he begins to wet the bed the rest of the way, for the most part, the rest of the way. So, like, in that sense, like, his acquisition to me was a failure, because now you gave up quality assets to get him, and you got a mediocre at best season from him, and an emotionally shit playoff performance when it mattered most, because he was up in big spots in Game 5 multiple times, and he did not deliver. And when you're looking to pay a guy $400 million plus, you expect for that guy to deliver when it matters most, and he failed repeatedly. So I think, in a sense, that acquisition was a failure. But I thought I saw Council turn the corner as a manager for the Cubs, and I know he probably hurt him the most to lose to the Brewers. But I think there's still things to look forward to for the future with this Cubs team. So I wouldn't consider it a failure, but yeah, beyond just the acquisition of Tucker. What say you?
Okay. So I think, Cuzzo, that the key to this season was to have 90 plus wins. Cubs got 90 plus wins. They grossly underachieved last year. For them to be a non-playoff team was just nonsense. So that was bad for them. But they got 90 plus wins, which is great. They were able to beat the Padres in the 3-game series. The Padres, and I've been watching them all season. Just the Padres, if I gave you that lineup, Wiley, and I say you can
Yeah,
win with this and win with this pitching, there's just no way that you can lose a series. So you'd be like, oh, all this money that's being spent, like I got Tatis and I got Cease and I got all, like, so whatever,
yeah,
just underachieved. And they fired their manager, by the way, Mike Schilt. So the Cubs won that, but the whole key was to get past Milwaukee. Chicago has a Wisconsin problem. Can't beat the
yeah,
Bucks, can't beat the Packers, can't beat the Brewers. It's a major problem. And so what I would
yeah,
say is that it's a failure in this regard. You're the bigger market, and they don't have all the stars. Yelich is their star, and he's not even the guy that stands out the most with the Brewers. It's just the whole team is consistent. Their pitching is consistent, and the Cubs, for the payroll that they have, for them to lose against the 22nd highest payroll in Major League Baseball is a shame. but this is
It
who they
is.
are. This is who they are. So I would say that it's a failure in that regard. And with the strike looming in a couple of years, I'm not sure how much more payroll or how many more quality assets from free agency that the Cubs are going to get. I feel like Jed Hoyer, who is okay. Jed Hoyer loves to talk. I was going to say something that's going to get me called in at 1060 West Addison, and you know how much I don't like the North Side as far as traveling there. Um, he loves to talk, Cuzzo, but as far as action, it's not enough. He
Yeah.
can sit there in his Brooks Brothers suit and talk as an executive, but the bottom line is that the Cubs feel middling to me versus other teams that really try to have sustained success. And I just think that for all the good that the Cubs have, I think when the rubber meets the road, they just won't do what it takes to be able to get over the top where they could be undeniable in the National League, let alone the National League Central. That's what I think.
So I think there was a fear of taking a big swing and missing, um,
Mm-hmm.
especially around the
And they
trade
did with
deadline.
Tucker.
Eh,
And they
They
did
did
with
with Tucker.
Tucker.
They definitely did
Yeah.
with Tucker, but like you needed some pitching to help sustain your club, and it felt like they were afraid to go get that arm that was going to make a difference for this year. And here's how I look at baseball, Cuzzo. If you can get to the dance, you have a great shot at winning the World Series because
Yeah.
it doesn't happen often. The best team wins the World Series, so you find a way to get in, get hot, win a World Series, and when you have a team, because we saw the same with the Sox, when you have a team that can win, you can't expect that, okay, we got a young team that's playing well, we'll be fine next year. Shit happens. And when shit happens, you can be looking at a team that you thought it was built for the future, and all of a sudden, every player just starts to fall off one by one, and you have nothing. So when you have the opportunity to win, you got to take that shot. And I looked at it this year like they were reluctant to take the shot because they in their minds, hey, we're set up to win in future years, so let's not give away some of our best assets to have a shot at winning this year. And I think you get past the Brewers with better pitching. I think you get past the Brewers if obviously Cal Tucker doesn't suck and keep spots in Game 5, but they didn't have the pitching to win a Game 5. They didn't, and part of that was because injury was one, and then you're afraid to put in your Japanese star because he's been struggling with confidence giving up the home run ball. So now you're going with a starter. You're reliever to start the game, similar to what the Brewers did. But in my mind, in a big Game 5, you throw out a Lester, you throw out one of those guys who's going to be your workhorse, who has some experience, who can deliver. And in a game like that, even if a Cal Tucker sucks in key moments, he's going to hold the other team's offense down enough where you can steal that game on the road, as opposed to you're hoping that you get a clutch hit here or there, and when it doesn't happen, you fail. And I think that when you go into next season, you can't be afraid to win. Don't be afraid to win. That'll be my message. Don't be afraid to win.
I would agree, which means that you're going to have to try to plug right field. Like Kyle Tucker really didn't ingratiate himself to the fans in right field. He's very quiet, very beige. Like it's fine. Like his numbers in Houston, hey, he was a top 10 player when he got here. And then he just kept dropping off his money every time he swing and miss, every time he was on the IL, every time that he underachieved, he was just dropping money down the first base line. He just like, hey Kyle, pick up that money, man. You just dropped. Yeah, you're trying to get like 400 million. Well, it's hard for you to get 400 million when you keep dropping money. But to your point about the big swings, here's the numbers for you. So the Cubs failed to take advantage of opportunities all series long, Cuzzo. So the offense went 4 for 27 with runners in scoring position over the 5-game set. In the 3 losses, Chicago's lineup had just 7 at bats with runners in scoring position, delivering 1 hit. Even worse, the bottom 5 batters in the Cubs lineup, Ian Happ, Carson Kelly, Pete Crow Armstrong, Dansby Swanson, and Matt Shaw, struggled. Their slash line was 120, 215, and 205 with a 35% strikeout rate. You can't win games with those numbers. You can't do it. So I'd agree with you to take the big swing, but you already have a high enough payroll to win. But why don't you try to find offense? Like, is that bringing Kyle Schwarber back, or are you just going to bring in Owen Casey or Ballesteros, one of your kids, and just go for it? Like, that's not, to me, that's not the winning formula. That's all I'm saying.
In my mind, they allocated that $400 million to spend on Kyle Tucker when they acquired him in the offseason. So clearly, you're not going to bring him back. So spend that money on quality players, on a couple quality players. Don't try to get 4 or 5 because that isn't going to get it done. Find a couple quality players that's worth spending that money on and bring them in to help your team win next year. Don't be afraid of success.
So you left Rocco outside. So now we can't bring the show mascot in because you failed to bring the dog in, our mascot.
I did. I dropped the ball.
Okay. So go ahead and get Rosalita upstairs. Bring her down so we can end the show. Is Rosalita? Is there a Rosalita that you're stashing in the home there? Bring her in.
Well, with ice around, I can neither confirm nor deny if that's the case.
Speaking of that, I should ask you this question as we close. I should ask you this question. So, Cuzzo, do black people tan?
Yes, and get sunburn because I've gotten it more than once. So
the reason why I asked is because Peacock and I, we went to Marco Island, Florida, for our anniversary. And even though our anniversary is not until next month, but the point is, we had time together to get away, and so it's a beach. So of course you're just going to just chill out and just kind of just let the alcohol just get out of you, and whatever else, and just lay out there, right? And so I just know that I was laying out there and the sun got me and I felt like a little singe, a little burn there. I said, "Is that what sunburn feels like?" Because I wouldn't know what that's like. It's just, I don't think the sun makes it any darker, but I think what it does is it enhances what we already have. Correct?
No, so you're right. So first, let me say congratulations to 25 years. I mean, that is
Thank you.
A great milestone for you and I don't know if we can say her names. I'll just say Peacock because I know you call it on radio. For you and Peacock, I think it's a tremendous milestone. So I want to congratulate both of you all on that great milestone. But I did see the photos, at least some of the photos, and there was a tan. So there was definitely, we've been sitting in the sun, not picking cotton, sitting in the sun, but lying on the beach, lying on the beach in the sun, tan, which is good. Yeah, it's always good. A little vitamin D never hurts.
Did you say picking cotton, sun? Is that what you said?
I may have, yes.
Well, may have. It may. Well, folks, if you ever get sunburned picking cotton, you could always go to Northwestern Medicine. That's right. Northwestern Medicine in Bronzeville, nm.org, as they proudly present this fine program, Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood, presented by Bronzeville Outpatient Care Center.
Great segue.
Well, now you've done it. Yeah, well, I mean, you just laid it up there, and I'm a professional. I've got to segue somehow. It's incredible. Why do you do this thing? Why do you do this? By the way, we want to be able to let everyone know that earlier this week, got a chance to talk to Howard Griffith. That is not Howard Griffith on your screen if you're watching. Hell no, that's not Howard Griffith. Southside Zone from the Big Ten Network, two-time Super Bowl champ. We talked about this man, James Franklin, being fired by Penn State. Also, we talked about Coach Cignetti from Indiana, as Coach Cignetti in Indiana upset Oregon. A big college football podcast that we did talking about the Big Ten and some of the other storylines. Check it out on Spotify, wherever you get your podcast for Under the Hood, and also here on YouTube. So a lot on college football there. I don't ask Wiley that because Saturdays he's very busy with Rosalita. All right, so Cuzzo, we'll see what happens against the Saints, and we'll do this next week.
Yes, we will. Thanks for having me, Cuzzo.
For Cousin Wiley and his cotton, this is Jonathan Hood. Thanks so much for checking out Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. So long, everybody.